Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Eat. I swear these family dinner episodes just sneak up on me. I feel like I just recorded April's family dinner episode. So, where is the time going? Why is everything going by so fast? And how do I make it stop? But you all know that I do love these episodes. So, it's fine because I enjoy them, but it feels like things are just going by so fast. Oh my goodness. So, welcome back. Today, we are diving into another family dinner episode. As I mentioned, all things updates, health updates, what's new, what's exciting, what I've been loving, what I've been reading. Of course, there's been a major life transition that has happened in the past few days. So, I will be talking a little bit about that, and I will probably have some interruptions over the course of this episode as well, but some welcomed interruptions and disruptions due to a new friend of mine. And I'm excited. So, we're talking all things life, health, all the things, what's coming up in the summer. And I hope that you are excited to tune in. So, thank you so much for joining me again at the table, and let's eat. Welcome to Let's Eat. I'm your host, Emily, certified holistic health coach, functional nutrition expert, and self-proclaimed wellness enthusiast, here to meet you at the intersection of physical and mental health, the space within which we become well. This podcast is meant to explore all areas of mind and body wellness, designed to offer you the integrative knowledge, behavioral strategies, and mindset shifts necessary to uplevel your health and feel better today. We'll explore nutrition, sleep, movement, self-care and stress management, habits and routines, self-development, gut health, mental health, and more. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome to the table. Let's eat. So, I want to just admit the fact that I am fully procrastinating going for a walk right now. I just finished with a client and I said, okay, after my session, I'm going to go walk. And I'm just not feeling it right now. Complete honesty. I think part of it's because the puppy is not able to join me yet because she's so small that she walks 10 feet and then she lays down. Secondly, because it's warm out, but not really warm. And I feel like if it was warmer, I would be more inclined. Pardon the interruption. I had to open the screen door for my little friend. She just discovered how to go outside on the deck. So she loves it out there, as do I. And also, I just don't feel like doing it, but I'm going to after I'm done recording. So we're going to get through this episode and then we're going to get on the walking pad. But let's get started with some updates. So, as you all know, I started teaching Pilates in January and it is now the end of May. So, how many months is that? That's coming up to, I guess, January. Oh, no, I guess we can't consider January. So, February, March, April, May. So, that took me too long to calculate that many months. 4 months I've been teaching, and I feel as though I'm finally getting to a point where I'm comfortable. Not in the sense of I'm no longer like I'm definitely not nervous like I used to be. I used to be very nervous, but I'm feeling more comfortable teaching more on the fly and making things up as I go and bringing in more of my personality into classes. So it's been a lot of fun. Every time I teach, I feel so grateful that number one, I have the opportunity to do it, but also that I decided to do it and to challenge myself in this way. So I have been loving it. It has been so much fun. I love being able to support others in their health and wellness, as you all know. So this is just another way for me to do that. So here's to another 4 months and another many months teaching and growing and becoming a better instructor and learning and, you know, sharpening my skills in this department. And I hope that you will come take a class with me. So the studio will be forever linked in the show notes moving forward. So you can come take a class if you're interested, if you're in the area. And I hope to see you there. I've also started teaching Saturday mornings. So that is new to my schedule because I stopped working at the restaurant on Saturday. So now I'm teaching in the mornings on Saturday. And I've been filling in here and there. So I'm averaging, I would say, 3, sometimes 4 classes a week, But it's been fun because I threw myself into it. I remember telling my mom in January when I first started, and I think I may have said this on the podcast, I spent so much energy planning my first class. So I said to her, I'm like, how am I supposed to do this multiple times a week? Like, how am I supposed to invest all this energy in planning and preparing? And now I don't need as much preparation. I don't need, to be planning for hours and practicing and whatnot. I have it a little bit more, um, I don't know, what's the word? More, I don't know, what is that word? I just feel more confident and more comfortable leading, teaching, creating sequences, creating classes and all that. So, very thankful, been loving it. Such a cool opportunity and I look forward to seeing where it goes. So, I was going to say, let's talk about the puppy, but let's wait on the puppy. Let's talk about functional lab testing. So, I am moving and grooving. I passed my second exam. By time this episode is released, I may have passed my third exam. Let's hope. My mentor, she is the person that I'm taking the exams with. And when I say exams, I'm not saying like a proctored exam or a written exam. I'm saying it is a oral exam. So it's called a practical essentially, and you are doing a mock session with a client and leading them through their test results. So I did that on, oh my gosh, there's a bird in my potted flower on the deck. I hope that he's making a nest in my flower. I really hope that he's doing that. But anyways, before I get sidetracked here, the practicals are meant to give you that experience of sitting down with a client and going through their test results, making connections, correlations with their experience. And so it is a lot of fun. So I did my first one, and then my next one is scheduled for the week to follow. I do have to put a week of time between each exam. So that kind of delays my momentum because if it were up to me, I would just shut out the world for a week and I would just do them all. But I can't do that. So I have already scheduled them all. So they are ready to go. And I have deadlines for each of them. And I'm just going to go for it because I think I was about to say this before about the mentor. I got distracted at the bird. The mentor said, I'm not concerned for your success at all. She goes, after today's session, you knocked it out. Good for you. She's like, you're going to have no trouble. So that made me feel good. So I'm excited. It's just now slowly getting through the process, not thinking too far ahead because the process itself is pretty overwhelming, but just focusing on one at a time and making my way through. So that is super, super excited. I'm planning to start scheduling consults come mid-June as a way to get the ball rolling so that when I am fully graduated, I can order the tests for whoever is interested and we can get going. So that is the plan. So once again, I'm going to continue to share this in every episode. If you are interested in functional testing, please follow the link in my show notes to put yourself on the inquiry. I have such a hard time saying this word. Inquiry. I promise I am educated and I can speak. I just don't know why I can't say that word. Let's say put yourself on the wait list. Okay. The link to that is in the show notes. And this is not, you committing to anything. It's simply putting you in a space so that you get the information about testing and when it becomes available. So go ahead and do that if you're interested. There's a couple questions in there about what you're navigating and why you're interested because that's helpful for me to understand, and I will be in touch with you to get going. So that is super exciting. And that is really where all my focus is going to be come next month and through the summer. It'll be really interesting too to see how my business structure changes as well. And that's something that I have to start thinking about as it relates to the work I'm doing now and what that will look like in tandem with the testing. Will I only be doing testing? There's lots of questions that I have to kind of reflect on in the next couple weeks because there's a lot of background work that I need to do on my end to prepare my business to make this transition and to get going and updating my website and all of the things. So that is on my plate for the next couple weeks, all very exciting, and I'm just so eager to get going. But I will say, I mean, I started this program in December, and I've definitely expedited the process a bit because they say intended graduation is 8 to 10 months. So I've just been rocking and rolling with it. And as I was going through it, I remember thinking, how am I going to retain all this information? How am I going to do this? And everyone says there's like a Facebook group for support. I mean, there's tons of resources for trainees to turn to. And everyone says it all comes together. It all comes together. It all comes together. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, please tell me when this is happening because I am feeling very overwhelmed. And sure enough, I was able to get through the exam yesterday. I'm sure I'll be just fine in the upcoming exams. They all marry each other. So it's all, it's not like I'm learning brand new material every time I have a test. It's all the same information just delivered in a way so that you can really demonstrate that you know your stuff. And that I wouldn't want it any other way. How many programs out there you just pay for the certification essentially. So you're paying to get the diploma or the certificate as opposed to programs that actually require you to know your stuff. And that's exactly what I'm going through right now. So I'm very excited. More episodes to come on functional testing. Take a listen to my episode 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, or last week, all about my functional lab results. So that is a really neat episode. You can learn a little bit more. And then another episode will be coming out next week, I believe, with the other half of my functional lab results and some information about why testing might be right for you. So, very excited. It's all almost here, right? We're making our way and the summer is about to be a whole new twist for me, but I'm excited. So, the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is the fact that Tallow is now a member of my family. She came home over the weekend and she is so much fun. I love her already. She is the sweetest. I could watch her play and explore all day long, and that is exactly what I've kind of been doing. So there's been quite a bit of procrastination going on. I took off the weekend, took off as in, I wasn't working formally, but I still work in some ways. And we got to spend all this time together, and it's been a lot of fun. So, Tallow, otherwise known as Tally, is 8 weeks old, and she is the best. And it's definitely been bittersweet. This is like a weird thing that I noticed the past couple days, and you might think, what? That doesn't make any sense, but I'm just going to talk about it. Um, I made her food and I put it down in front of her, and the last few days, the last week or two that I put food in front of Lou, I was so scared because she wasn't eating. And I just wanted her to eat so badly. I wanted her to eat so badly. And I use the same bowls. So I'm using the same bowls that were Lou's. And I was putting food in front of the puppy and I felt that same feeling. It was so bizarre. Like, I was so like, "Please eat, please eat, please eat," because that's how I felt the last 2 weeks when she was sick and she wasn't eating, and all I wanted her to do is eat, because obviously we know if they're not eating, that's not a good sign. So it was interesting because it was kinda like this trauma response, I would say, where she ate, the puppy is eating, and she's eating every time I'm putting food down, and she's enjoying it, and she's loving it, but it's really interesting because even just being a couple days of her not eating and putting food down in front of her and her not eating, like me seeing the puppy eat and not have any hesitation to it and want to eat and eat it all, it feels weird. It feels sad, And I mean, I'm happy she's eating and she's loving her food, but yeah, it was just interesting because I had this jolt of emotion when I put the food down in front of her and she ate, and I was just like, I don't know, it's been weird. It's been weird in moments, but everything else is great, and she's great, and she's loving all Lou's toys, she's loving Lou's bed, so I hope her big sister is, happy that she has all of these wonderful things to play with, and it's really sweet. So, happy that she's in my life now. We are trekking out to Michigan this coming weekend to see my sister, my nieces, and my brother-in-law. This episode will be released after the trip has been made. So I guess I will have to update you on the next family dinner episode as to how that goes. There's a bunch of chaos going on at Newark Airport right now, particularly through United Airlines. And I just decided if I'm at risk for not getting there, I'm going to be so frustrated. So let me just eliminate the risk and just take control and drive. So that is the plan. And baby Tallow is coming with us. So this will be quite the adventure. And I'm excited because my nieces get to meet her and she will be a lot of fun. And she's very easy right now, because you carry her everywhere. You're not putting her on a leash at all. She's just kind of, easy. I need to get some sort of like baby carrier or something to put her in. I did actually see this sling on Amazon. I was like, oh, maybe I should get that for her because I want to go on walks, but she's not going to walk very far. So I'd have to put her in there. But I remember with Lou, that was always a problem where I'd be like, okay, so ambitious, let's go for this long walk. And she'd be like, nope, after like 5 minutes. So we'll see. But that is happening this weekend, and it'll be nice to go see my sister and my nieces. I haven't met my newborn niece yet, so that is on the agenda. My niece's 4th birthday is this weekend, so it'll be nice, and Tala will get to be there for all of it. Next thing I want to share is essentially my puppy plans. I am planning to do multiple episodes on holistic pet care as I've been talking about. But right now, what I've been doing is I've just been transitioning her off of her kibble from the breeder, and I've been moving into the kibble that I bought. The kibble I bought is by Open Farm, and they are a high quality kibble, real food based kibble brand. Now, at the end of the day, if this is the brand of food I go with, as opposed to real raw food, I'd be perfectly happy with it, honestly. But I'm planning to go in the real food direction. So we'll see. I'm going to do some, number crunching and decide what makes the most sense. But I've also been adding some powdered bone broth to her meals, some wild blueberries. This morning, I steamed a whole bag of organic broccoli and I chopped that up real fine. So I'm just doing very, very small amounts and adding them to her meals. And I don't plan to keep up with all of these things, but I do plan to start adding my food to her food. A wonderful resource for this information is Dr. Karen Becker. She debunks a lot of the beliefs and the myths around what foods are safe for dogs and what we should be avoiding. Now, I'm also going to be releasing episodes. I don't know when. Oh, I think maybe either this week or next week, there will be an episode about holistic pet care. But more to come, especially around her specific journey. I want to share more on what I'm doing and what I'm noticing and what I'm trying, what I'm, constantly learning about. And so that's kind of where I've been staying for right now, just because she's so small and I don't want to overwhelm her digestion. I added some eggs to her meal the other day. I tried to give her some red bell pepper this morning, but she wasn't having it, which I don't blame her. Red bell peppers are not my favorite either. I like yellow, orange, and green much better. So I do not blame her for that. But treats have been beef liver and what else? Wild blueberries. And I have these salmon bites that I got from Whole Foods that I had for Lou that I've been giving her. So it's been fun because, like I said, it's really just about changing your way of life. And it's not about, giving her these gourmet meals every time. It's just about adding what I have. I had peppers because I made a recipe this morning with peppers. So I can add some peppers. I have them in the fridge now. I have that broccoli steamed and ready to go. So I can, add it to her meal. So it's not about really being super over the top with it. It's just about adding things as you would add to your own meal, obviously within reason, being aware of what dogs cannot eat. But I'm just excited to start making this a part of her routine. I also have a couple supplements that I had for Lou that I saved because I knew I was going to get a puppy. That one is like a probiotic powder, I believe it is. One is like a immune system support. I have canine minerals, so it's a powder that you add to their food or their water, maybe. So I have a couple different options. I just don't want to be using it just because. I'd rather use it during a time that I know it's most useful. So I will determine that. Maybe if she's on antibiotics or, I'll have to look into it. But I have added some colostrum to her meals as well. There's a brand called Native Pet. I found them on Amazon. They're reasonably priced. They were on major sale when I bought them, which was great. And I like what they have to offer. So that's a brand that you can take a look at if you're interested. They have some pretty cool supplements. I haven't gotten a chance to really look into all of them, but that's where I got the bone broth. That's where I got the colostrum, and they have like a salmon oil as well, which is great for omega 3s. That's something I do want to add in for her coat and just from an inflammation standpoint. So, lots of ideas. The bone broth powder, I'd have to make a cost comparison. I might end up just buying my own bone broth because I drink it too. But this is, this works for the time being. So, lots of things in store for this little girl. She has no idea. She has no idea. But I will share the journey more if you're interested, and hopefully you can learn a little bit and maybe add some additional nutritional value to your dog's meal as well. So my next I guess topic I have here, how I've been doing, and that is just because I copy and pasted this from past family dinners. So how have I been doing? I've been doing okay. I think having tallow, even just for like 3 days now, has really forced me to slow down. And I think that's a really important thing for all of us to do. And getting my lab results this week, which I completely skipped over that. So I'll have to also circle back to it. I think, and with having tallow, I'm really trying to slow down. And there's this trend on TikTok that I've been seeing, and it's like, take a second. I'm going to butcher it, but it's essentially saying, I'm like, I can't speak it word for word, but it's essentially saying that this is the like living in the right now is what you 5 years ago would have wanted. And like I think about that in the context of my own life, and it's so true. Am I where I want to be? No. Do I have a lot more in store for myself? Yes. But where I'm living, my business, having tallow, my podcast, teaching Pilates, I am so happy with all of these things. I know I think I said this in the last family dinner episode or another episode. I was just going on and on and on about how excited I was and how happy I was and, all of those things. And I feel like that's so important for us to be happy with where we are right now. And we can liken this to being on a wellness journey. And I do this a lot with clients where we can acknowledge the growth and we do so over and over again. And there's a couple clients that come to mind. And if you're listening, you probably know who you are. But we do take the time to celebrate the growth. Even if we're not where we want to be yet, we look at where we were, or we look at how we were feeling at one point in time and how much different we feel. And it's maybe not just about the physical side of things, it's maybe about the mentality too. I just had a conversation with a client before about the mindset and how much differently she views things or how she approaches things. And while we can focus on how we're feeling physically, why don't we also think about how we're feeling mentally? And how, we're no longer restrained by certain beliefs or certain mentalities or mindsets around food and around nourishment and around eating. And it's so important that we celebrate that. And so I was thinking about that today because I really am so happy to see how far I've come in what I'm doing. I feel very proud of myself for what I've built and what I've created, and really going from nothing to having something and having some things, lots of things. And it's exciting. It's exciting. And I can really devote all of the responsibility to me. Like I did all of this and I know that, and I am very proud of myself for that. So just something to consider, this kind of how have I been doing question. It's been a rough couple months, right? We know that. But there's also been so much good that has come. And I am so thankful. I actually had a memory come up. Yesterday was 4 years since I graduated grad school. And a picture came up that I shared today on Instagram of me and Lou. And I have, it's one of my favorite pictures. And I have the graduation cap on her head, and it's just like a picture of me and her. I'm laughing, she looks like she's smiling. It's like really sweet. And I just think about where I was 4 years ago, like professionally, and how things have completely changed, and how at that time I had this vision. And while it was very similar to what I'm doing now, the road that it took for me to get there was winding and bumpy and chaotic and crazy. And that year before graduation was rough with my internship experience and what I went through with that. Oh my God, what a year it was. So it's just so important that we slow down and so important that we acknowledge where we are. I obviously have expressed how I felt about really wanting to be full time in my business and, you know, what I want from the podcast and my dreams about working with people and all there's just so many things. I'm horrifyingly ambitious. Okay, I said this to someone the other day and I said I'm just so ambitious to a fault, I would say. But there's a lot that I want to do and I want to help people and I want to build my business and my brand and I have a mission and I'm not going to stop until I do it, right? And those of you who know me know that about me. And all of that is good and well, but where I am right now, we need to also take a second to appreciate. And so this is your reminder to do that in your own life, whether it's in your health journey, which I want to be sure that I highlight that because you are making progress even if it doesn't feel that way, even if it's day 2 or it's day 200. Wherever you are, give yourself credit for the commitment you've made, the progress you've made, and then, in any other journey that you're on or in business or, just personally, whatever the case is in life, be where you are and be content with that because that's really your only option. That's the only place you can be is where you are, of course. And a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you might look back and say, why wasn't I more present in those moments? Why wasn't I grateful for where I was? And I think that's my problem is I'm constantly thinking about what's next. I'm constantly thinking about, okay, well, I want to work towards this and I want to do this and I want to grow this. I mean, you just heard me say that with the functional testing, right? Like I just said, oh, I want to do all these things. And it's like, that's good. But how about focusing on right now and where you are right now and the balance I have right now and the opportunities I have right now and where my energy needs to be right now and let those next things just come when they come. I think that's like my biggest kind of reflection in this very moment is being okay with where we are and wanting what's next, but letting us be right here and right now, and then letting those things come when they're meant to come, if that makes sense. So, this was not planned, but this is kind of just where my head has been at, especially when it comes to tallow and looking at her and feeling like you are getting bigger by the second. You are literally getting bigger by the minute. Like I blink and she gains 10 pounds, pretty sure. So that is really important to me too, because I feel like with Lou, I spent obviously most of my time with her, but I was also 22 and I wanted to go out and I wanted to go away. And, I would give her to my mom, to take care of her for a weekend or, and I feel like I missed some parts of her as a puppy and I am sad about that. I wish I had spent, not to say I disowned her or I, let her grow up without me. Obviously, she lived with me and I raised her, but I think I didn't have like this level of appreciation for her and the process of raising her as I do now at my age now. So, I'm excited for this new journey and all the ups and downs that it will, in fact, bring. But raising her is going to be a lot of fun, especially this time of year, and teaching her and fueling her and educating all of you as I go through this journey. So it's exciting. Still miss Lou. Wish she could be here. I think getting Tallow really solidified that she wasn't here anymore. And just in general, this is something I've learned about myself as I've gotten older. I am so reluctant to change. And I know that most humans are. Humans don't like change, but I have a really, really hard time with it. And it's been to my detriment, honestly, in certain relationships, in certain, positions professionally. it's really hard for me to navigate change, even when it's healthy change, even when it's good change. And so having tallow come this weekend, I felt a little anxious about it because it felt new and it was different and I'm used to Lou and that really kind of freaked me out because I feel like this past few months that Lou hasn't been here, I have obviously known that she's gone, but having a puppy now really reinforced that. So I feel better now going into this week, but the weekend kind of brought up some emotions, like I said too, with the food bowl and all that. It's interesting, but I think I'm much more self-aware now to be okay with, yeah, it feels a little uncomfortable at first and change is hard and that's okay, but change soon evolves and it becomes your routine, your normal, and that's a part of life. So that's a little bit of insight about where I'm at. Moving into a little bit more of a lighthearted energy, summer plans. So, what are my plans for summer? Well, obviously, spending each and every moment with my precious fur baby, but also I am excited to have a summer where I'm really focused on finding my work life balance a little bit better. I am so ready to expand my business while I introduce testing, and I have complete certainty that it is about to expand, and I'm thrilled about it. There's so much interest in testing, and I cannot wait to be able to offer that. However, I do need to find a healthy balance. Now, I think stepping away from one shift at the restaurant is going to help facilitate that. I even on Saturday driving around just seeing people like at the farmer's market or like I don't know, like on trails going for walks. I'm like, "Oh, this is what people do on Saturdays." Okay. This is what people do. I'm like, I wouldn't have known because I'm never out and about on a Saturday. That also too. I'll say that too. I have a little bit of anxiety, I'll say, around not working Saturdays. And I have anxiety about having free time. I'll admit it. I have anxiety about like having the time to go do things and not having something to do and not working. And that is something I have to work through. That is something I have to work through. But that is 100%, in alignment with what I just said about change and how hard it is for me to navigate change. So that was a lot of change in one weekend. Saturday, not working at the restaurant for the first time on a Saturday, and then getting the puppy was just like, whoa, like, slow down here, right? But I'm certain I will get very comfortable not working Saturdays. It's just going to take some time for me to adjust to it. But yeah, I'm really excited to find a healthier work life balance. Now, some people say that doesn't exist. And I feel I do agree with that. I think my life will always be a little bit lesser than my work. I think, not to say in terms of importance, but work as an entrepreneur, as a business owner with goals, with passions, it's hard to find like that level ground. And so I'm really not expecting that. But this summer, I'm excited to really expand what I'm doing in my work, as I said, but then also giving myself the chance to be a human. And I know I mentioned this in the last episode when I was mentioning and talking about losing a shift, dropping a shift. That was really a big driving force here, but you know, it is just so important. It's so important for me to do that and I have a pool in the complex and it's right down the road from me and I want to spend time there. I want to take tallow places. I want to go to the farmer's market. I want to just read. And you might be saying, Emily, just read. No, like I want to just read. I just want to be able to sit and read and not feel like I need to be doing something else. It is pretty chronic of me, just in the past couple years to feel this kind of energy without going too far into it. Just this level of owning a business and kind of that constant desire to grind and to hustle. And I'm really going to try to soften that and to calm that a bit and hopefully balance it out with some other things that I also love to do, spending time down the shore, going for runs, all these things that fill my cup that make me who I am. And I'm excited to make that more of a priority this summer and to be really intentional about it because it's going to take energy for me to do that. It'll have to take energy. That's like people who say, I don't understand why it's hard for some people to just sit on the couch all day And some people have no trouble. Like some people can just, and it's not to say I am superior to those people, but I just like my body, like I've conditioned my body to always needing to do something. We're getting really, really real here. I've like conditioned myself to being like, I need to do something all at all times. I need to be productive. And that's not good, nor is it healthy. And it also reflected in my cortisol levels. All right. So, yeah, speaking of, my cortisol levels. Yeah. So I'm working on that. So this is going to be the summer for that. And I'm excited. So this is me. The reason I'm telling you all this is that you hold me accountable. So anyone who's listening, I give you full permission. When I start, yapping on about God knows what, you need to message me, email me, let me know, Emily, chill out. You gave me permission to tell you this. Go read a book. I'm going to, I'm going to give you permission to say that to me. But nonetheless, all those things I'm happy about, I'm excited for. And I'm really excited to see what is to come and what's next in business, in life, all of the above. And having my beautiful little girl now in my life. She's so sweet. She's sleeping right now. Thank goodness, because otherwise she'd be rocking and rolling all over the place. There's toys everywhere around me because, there's so many options. So she just bounces from one to the other, but we're sleepy now, so we're gonna chill out. All right, so then functional lab testing. I learned quite a few things. I'm not gonna spend too much time here, but I did get a chance to meet with a mentor. I mentioned in the episode about functional health. I'm gonna stick with her. You basically get to pick which mentor you do your exams with, and I'm pretty sure people will sometimes bounce between them. I don't really know why people do that. But my girl is about to be my girl. Like, you are going to be with me through every step of this journey because I said on last week's episode, I have rapport now with her. She knows that I know my stuff, so I think that might give her a slight bias, if that's the word, where she'll come into like I am trying to cheat the system. No one tell anyone, but we'll go into the next, like, this is just me being stressed out about these tests, so just forgive me. But we'll go into this next test and she'll be like, well, Emily rocked it last time. So she's definitely going to do it again this time. And maybe I won't do as well, but maybe she'll just say, well, I know you know your stuff. So we'll pass you. It's fine. But either way, I'm sticking with her. And she was the one that went over my results with me because I got to do all the tests and it was really neat. I learned that I have elevated cortisol in the morning and pretty healthy cortisol the rest of the day, but this explains a lot of why I feel the way that I do. So that is something that I am going to be addressing. I haven't yet bought the supplements for it, but I am going to cut back on caffeine. I'm going to really, structure out, strengthen my morning routine as much as I can and start to implement some other lifestyle habits that I know I need. I just haven't been as consistent with. So now that the test results are showing me this, I feel as though I have to commit. I also learned I do have more elevated levels of oxidative stress, which plays a role in every area of dysfunction. It's like the wear and tear, internal wear and tear. And so addressing the factors that influence that is really all you can do because you can't technically reverse it, but there's cellular turnover. So you can just hope to impact new cells once they're produced to avoid that same damage from taking place. But I do know I have a genetic, I guess, maladaptation or mutation is the word that makes me more susceptible to it. So that's something else that I'm kind of working against. And then I learned that, what else? My indican, which is a marker of protein digestion, was high, which is not good. So this might explain why I'm having trouble recovering from my workouts. There's a lot that comes along with this. So I'm so excited to work on this area because this is huge. I mean, you're going to eat the protein and do all the right things in that regard, but if you're not absorbing it, then what's the point? If you're not absorbing it, then it doesn't matter. So that is something that I'm very excited to resolve. And that connects a lot to my microbiome and my GI map, which I did learn more about. I do have H. pylori, which can be eradicated. I have candida, a little bit of candida, which is an overgrowth. And there was one other thing that I had, and I don't remember what it was. But these are all protocol based issue. So I'm going to start taking some supplements to get to it and address it a little more gently than, say, antibiotics or something of that nature. And what else? There's a couple other markers that are escaping me right now. But either way, it was really neat to be able to go over the test results with someone who does this work. And then also in my practical this past week, doing the exam, essentially doing the case study, it was cool to be able to do it. And this is what I'm going to be doing, going over these test results again and again and again. So it was really cool to get that experience and then to be the client as well. So that has all to do with my test results. There are going to be more episodes to come where I go more into depth about that. I didn't want to spend too much time on it at this very moment, but you can go ahead and listen to those if you're interested. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I encourage you to do something for your mental health this month. Slow down. That's me talking to me. Journal, read, do something that fills your cup. I always suggest doing something that fills your cup every single day if you can, but especially this month. Especially this month. I also think this month is Women's Health Awareness Month. I'm almost positive. I think that's right. And I didn't know that. And so I wish I had known that because I would have done something in celebration of it. But either way, Mental Health Awareness Month, do something good for your mental health, mind, body, health, all interrelated, all interconnected. And I hope that point is very well made through listening to this podcast, because that is one of my primary goals in this life, is to make that known. So what am I reading? Well, my friends, you know how it goes. I'm just about done with The Forever Dog. So that's all about holistic pet care. I did pre-order 2 self-development books, actually, that I ordered when they were announced, because these are 2 individuals that I love. And I listened to one of them. I've listened to her podcast for years. We are TikTok followers. I repeat, I follow her and she follows me. My goal and dream in life is to have her on the podcast one day, or even better, to be a guest on her podcast. So I'm putting that out into the universe. But she wrote a book and she released it at the beginning of May. I haven't yet read it. I'm saving it. I don't know. I'm saving it because I need to get through some other books, but there's also the audio version of it and she narrates it. I have a hard time listening to audiobooks unless it's narrated by the author. Don't ask me why, I just do. So I might listen to it instead because I love her podcast. So just to think I have like 7 hours of her podcasting, like that's awesome. And I'm super excited for that. So I'm thinking maybe this week when I go on my trip, I'll listen to it on the trip, but I'm excited for that. And then another one that I haven't gotten into just because I told myself, do not start these books until you've finished at least a couple other ones. So yes, the saga continues. I am diving into too many books at one time, but my plan is as soon as it is pool weather, I will take books to the pool and I'll designate, a chunk of time to reading by the pool as a means of making a dent in some of these books that have just lingered in my home for far too long. I just get too ambitious. I order too many. I get too excited about them, and that's a problem. So this is the summer of reading, everyone. Just hold me to that. So what am I loving? What maybe wellness trends can I get behind? Let's see. So obviously I'm loving puppy life. She is so cute. I'm just watching her sleep right now. She's so sweet. Slowing down, definitely finding more time for me and doing things that I want to do, and spending time with friends or planning things for myself, going on solo dates. Yeah, all of that. So important, so necessary, so good for the soul, so nourishing. I've also been loving the few days that we've had that are warmer mornings. Now, it's kind of hit or miss with May, and that's what makes me really frustrated, because give me like an 80-degree morning. That is so beautiful. And I know that those are coming. I know that they're coming. But the few mornings that it has been warm, it's been so nice to either go for a walk or sit on my deck. My deck is my favorite place in the summer. It is my favorite place in the world. So I love it. I have flowers hanging, which I have to go check that flower to see if there's a bird's nest in there. But that is what I have absolutely been loving. And I think I also shared the other day on Instagram, which this just came to mind, so I'll share it here. I really have been staying away from cycling. I've even considered just canceling. I don't know if I can freeze. Maybe I can freezing my Peloton membership. I do like the meditations, but I'm not in it. I've been dealing with this shoulder issue, and that has kind of made me less motivated to go on the Peloton and to do more weightlifting. But also, given the fact that I know I maybe I'm not utilizing protein properly, my muscles are not recovering the way that I want them to, and they should be. And it's been hard because when I'm teaching, I have no real control around it. I'm not able to take rest days, which I'm not complaining about that at all. I don't have to take the class with my class. Like, I demonstrate, I'll do some of the class with my class, but for the most part, I'm showing what I'm doing, demonstrating a little bit of it, and then I'm standing up and I'm checking in with the class and correcting form and all that. So I'm not as active when I'm taking my classes, but I'm still working out on my own because I love to work out. So I I'm just not interested in cycling. I really just resist it. I would rather walk. I'd rather do something else. So I'm kind of grateful because my body does need to slow down, as I've been saying throughout this episode. And I feel like the lower impact walking and, Pilates and just more gentle movement is more my vibe. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm still doing more strength training, here and there, but it's not the primary focus of my week. And I've really just enjoyed this transition and it's been lovely. So, this is kind of your reminder to be willing to go in the ebbs and flows in your relationship with fitness, because if you intend to have a lifetime relationship with fitness and you want it to be sustainable, you will have to expect there to be changes. You will have to expect that there will be certain times in life where you're unable to do what you used to do, or maybe you can do more now. And you have to be okay with that. And that's okay. Every season of life is going to look differently. So if you want it to be forever, which, spoiler alert, I highly recommend that you make it forever because we need to be active. Be willing to say, this period of life, this is what's best for my body and where I'm at. And that's okay. And then the next season of life will come and that'll look differently. And, you can move through the stages more gracefully when you keep that in mind. So I think that's about all we have for today. What else is there? I don't think there's anything else. There's some, things coming up in June. I've been doing work for the university, or I keep saying the university, but I don't think you might not know what I'm talking about. I was hired as an independent contractor for the College of New Jersey, which is also where I got my master's degree, to create wellness content for their graduate program. So I've basically been working on this since September and I'm nearing the end. And the students asked if we could do a meet and greet, which I'm so excited about. So I'm doing that in a couple weeks. I'm bartending a wedding in a couple weeks. I have some birthdays for friends coming up, different things happening. I'm bartending or representing the restaurant at a golf outing in a couple weeks. So lots of things happening. And then that will all coincide with finishing up my testing and getting going. So it's about to be a little crazy, but all good things. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm happy that you're here for the ride. I'm sorry that this episode was just quite literally all over the place. That's exactly what it was. It was all over the place, but you made it through. So kudos to you for keeping up with me at 100 miles an hour, because what else is new? And once again, if functional lab testing is something that you're interested in, the link lives in my bio. It lives in my link tree. It lives in the show notes. It lives everywhere. So please feel free to fill that out. Message me, email me with any questions. I'm open to all questions and I look forward to supporting you. So thank you for tuning in. And until next time, be well.